Okay, so let's go. What is it? What constitutes, allow me to say, a state capture? In 2017, the North Macedonia experienced the most difficult turnover of power since its independence, with a government formed 6 months after the December 2016 elections. The change of government came after a wiretapping scandal in early 2050 had revealed large-scale, high-level corruption, massive infringements on the right of private communications, and a lack of control over the state intelligence services and security agencies. In the fall of 2016, the European Commission vested with monitoring the progress of candidates for EU accession, raised concerns about the state capture in its annual report. Can you imagine that if Brussels says that you have a state capture and you have to work on it? It's a bit embarrassing if you're an extending state. With this assessment, questioned the functioning of checks and balances system of the country. The Commission argued that the Assembly had failed to provide an effective oversight to the executive power, the justice system, which were not independent. The authorities showed no willingness to resolve these issues. The oversight of the executive by the regulatory and supervisory bodies was also limited since they were under political pressure. A later, much praised assessment conducted in September 2017 described this type of state capture as more precisely characterized as the capture of the judiciary and prosecution by the executive power. So, let's start our tour. How to capture a state in simple steps. The man you see in front of you is our former prime minister, which now fled to Hungary, and the man behind him, I'm sure that everybody here knows who he is. One of the Europe's bad boys. Step one, you're gonna morph the ruling right-wing political party into the state institutions. Why? Because state institutions, being independent, are a liability for the functioning of the parties. So what you're gonna do, you're gonna put your party people, checked, vetted party people inside state institutions so they can run them better. Next, what you're gonna do, you're gonna take the team. So these are our MVPs, most valuable players from the former government. The first one is the chief of staff, former chief of staff to the then prime minister, Martin Protuger. He's the man, the man who conducted everything logistical when it came to election rigging and media. The second one, this lady, is Minister of Interior. What's a dictatorship without the control of the police? The third one is the Minister of Infrastructure. What good is if you don't have a good budget and how to launder money through budgeting of expensive, especially Chinese investments in building highways or other infrastructural capital objects throughout the Republic. And the fourth one is their boss, the Prime Minister. And of course, you need the most valuable player, the secret police. This guy here, Sasha Myalkov, believe me, like we were under this ruling party for 10 years. On the 9th year, the entire public saw his face. Nobody knew how the guy looked like. It's a bit scary, yes. And also, he's now owner of the Marriott Hotel here in Macedonia. And of course, what's a good dictatorship without a good old faithful judiciary? On the left, you have the president of the Supreme Court of North Macedonia, then Republic of Macedonia, and on the right, you have the Attorney General of the Republic. So, if you control the Supreme Court and you control the Attorney General, tell me, is there any power that can confront you and defeat you or anything else? No, from rigging elections, everything looks legal. No dictatorship, but dictators have a special relations with the media, believe me. The media is like a wet dream for a dictator. You have to control the media in order to wash away every criminal guilt you do to the public. Is this legal? Of course not. I mean, depends on the perspective where you're living. Of course, it was. So this was the new hope, the Special Prosecution Office for reestablishing the rule of law in the country. Well, you see these three lovely ladies here from left to right. It's Lenche Ristovska. She was deputy SPO, Special Prosecution Office. Katica Janeva, she was chief Special Prosecution Office, and Fatime Fetai, also a deputy. Well, why we felt the need for organizing a Special Prosecution Office? Because the European Commission argued and decided that the regular prosecution office was too corrupted to continue to launch or continue investigation into the government. So we established special one. Well, what can I say? I mean, with the abiding public perception now, there is no government in North Macedonia ever really wanted a true, strong, and independent prosecution. Formed amid a deep political crisis under international mediation in 2015 and tasked with tackling grave allegations of top-level crime in government, the Special Prosecution Office set new professional standards and initially enjoyed huge support. Praised for standing up to the ruling VMRO-DPMNE party and the authoritarian leader Nikola Gruevski, hopes were high that the SPO would put an end to widespread culture of crime and corruption in the country. But over the past few years, this image began to fade, dear colleagues, and so did the hope that its many unfinished cases would see a legal conclusion. The SPO credibility was finally tarnished beyond repair by the extortion scandal that broke out last summer, 2019, before the outbreak of Corona, that saw the chief prosecutor, Katica Janeva, the lady in the middle, charged and sent to jail for misuse of office in a first instance verdict. All that was when that was then left was to organize SPO political burial, which came to the form of prosecution law, which has closed in for good and transferred the ongoing cases to the regular prosecution. Loosely translated, transfer all the cases to the prosecution office, which was deemed in the public as cronies to the former ruling party. And do you know what was the scandal the chief special prosecution went in jail for? Corruption, 50,000 euros in form of furniture from Natuzzi, Italian furniture. So if I'm a special prosecution office and I'm corrupted, I wouldn't sell my soul for 50,000 euros. I don't know about you, but if I'm special, then I'm special. However, our new hope faded. However, if there is a burial, there is an epitaph, and if there is an epitaph for Special Prosecution Office, it should read, "We tried." Then what happened? The Special Prosecution Office was formed, and the students were fed up with the dictatorship in the country. They organized the colorful revolution. Instead of damaging public objects, the true paint of public objects, which is borderline legal, of hooliganism and exercising your democratic right to peaceful protest. This is the Arch of the Triumphant in Skopje, Macedonia, all painted in paint. Also, a couple of activists, such as the girl in the front picture, took a lipstick and used the police riot shield as a mirror to put on lipstick and to demonstrate that we are not afraid of you. So when the elections came in and the opposition won, the ruling party lost the grip of power. And every dictator, when he loses the grip of power, what they do, they storm the parliament building. As you can see from the photos here, after the new government was elected in the Sobranie, or the parliamentary, the police was ordered to let in the group of protesting cronies and party members of the then ruling party. They stormed in Sobranie for the purpose of taking over and stop the opposition to coming into effect. So this would call the apex of the captured state, the lose of grip of power. This is our new prime minister, the bloody guy on the bottom row left. So what happens then? Then when you remove the government in power, then you have to deal with all the mess the former government has done, mainly people who were installed in key positions and how to presume forward. So Special Prosecution Office began investigations beginning with the letter T. In February 2016, the newly SPO held its famous first press conference amid extraordinary media interest. It was bold move to demand the detention of 8 persons in relation to the case concerning alleged electoral fraud for none other than Prime Minister Gruevski himself and some of his closest associates. The court later rejected the demand. However, all that time Gruevski Vomorodopomone party was still held firm grip in power through Brussels have already deemed its institutions as captured. However, as you can see in this picture, this investigation is called Titanic. Why Titanic? Because all the corruption, it was hopefully to sink on the bottom of the ocean and the new era would start. And also because the letter T, which is in Macedonian language, dear friends, is described as the explosive consonant. So that's why all the investigation began on T, Titanic, Thaler, Tanata, TNT, and so on. The energetic press appearance starring the 3 female prosecutors, Janeva, Ristoska, and Petai, who became the faces of the SBO, gained celebrity status overnight and began to cause euphoria among the public and social media. Understandably, perhaps after years of institutional silence, some of their statements bordered on the tabloidization of serious cases, prompting some to question whether Janeva and her team would truly deliver results at the end. Regardless, the BBC gave them the nickname Charlie's Angels. Well, as the work continued to pile up for the Special Prosecution Office, they did face some pressure from the courts. In 2017, after the fall of Gruevski regime loomed, the SPO was finally transferred to its permanent offices in Skopje. Hundreds of witnesses, suspects, and accused were summoned for conversation, including top officials who in the past had hardly ever frequented a courtroom despite something faces charges. And they were now all facing charges on abuse of power, especially Gruevski's cousin, the scary guy you saw on the police, for abuse of power for wiretapping hundreds of phones of influential academic citizens, professors, judges, prosecutors, and business titans in Macedonia. Why? For personal benefit and economic needs. Then what happened is, as you can see here on this slide, the SPO faced problem in presenting illegal evidence in the criminal procedure. They had wiretapping. They had wiretapped conversations. However, as we all know as legalists, that long criminal procedure forbids presentation of audio or video evidence which was gathered outside the standards from the criminal procedure. If the police did not initiate it, then you cannot use it as evidence in the criminal procedure. That's where Professor Kalajiev, my former professor from the Faculty of Law in Justinas Prince Skopje, while I was briefly an assistant, that's where he came up with the idea to produce a legal analysis on use of illegal evidence in the criminal procedure, Strasbourg style. We analyzed verdicts from the Strasbourg cases, and as well took this. You can see Alexander Marshavelski, it's one of our own from the Faculty of Law in Zagreb. We used the Vukovar example, the mayor of Vukovar example in Croatia. I forgot his name. The guy who also taped his opposition leaders in order to. However, the Croatians were much of help in it, and as always, they support and want the best for Macedonia. Also, this illegal was the Bible for the SPO. They adopted it. And then came the trial, dear friends. You see the Prime Minister Gruevski, before he fled Hungary while he was still in Macedonia, he's standing trial for the abuse of power. Next to him is the scary guy from the police, controlling the secret police and the special security agency, and also his cousin, Sasha Myalkov. And on the bottom, the special prosecutor, Fatima Fetai, leading the trial and demanding justice and conviction of the criminals. And also I have to mention here for a note, Fatima Fetai and Sunchana are best friends. And then comes the disappointment, dear friends. Can you see this van? Inside this police van is former special prosecutor Katitsaneva, which was caught taking a bribe and for 50,000 euros and for abuse of power. She, what she did actually was admitting the bribe and admitting to the bribe and trading with favors. She promised that she will be lenient in the indictments with several business elites which were prosecuted for abuse of office if they pay her 50,000 euros. I don't know why she did that. Her salary was 5,000 euros. And the struggle goes on. Although we have a new government, we have somehow we managed to rid of the cronies, the former party cronies in the system. However, we are still way off from European membership. Although we may start the negotiations, however, it is very unlikely that we will fulfill any European standards, presumably standards of rule of law, because it is not about the legislative amendments you can make, it's about the mentality of the people. And so we have fantastic laws which were drafted in conjunction with Croatian experts. However, they're very good recipes on how things should be done and not how things are. Without new and fresh colors, you cannot do anything, neither to change the mentality of the people, change the mentality of the judges, or change the mentality of the government as a whole. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a pity that you are not here because we already commented here. We have, as I said, 3 prosecutors in Dubrovnik with us. Is it normal that her salary was 5,000 euros? We were just commenting that, Andrej.
50,000 euros, actually.
No, 5,000. What did you say?
Her salary was 5,000 euros, and she was requesting a bribe of 50,000 euros in form of furniture. About Italian furniture.
Yeah, we have already some comments here. What do you think about, from Maria, about regaining the trust of citizens? Is it now returned? The trust in political elite, power elite, or judiciary, is it now better or it's the same?
No, that is one of the flashbacks of the captured state. The trust is very hard to return. You have to changes must be seen to be done, not just to be announced that will be done. The judiciary with very positive examples of young judges, as Judge Georgi Andonov here and every other judge I know from younger generation of judges, can say that they're the sparking example of Macedonian judiciary. However, unfortunately, most of the Macedonian judiciary remains corrupted and remains open to abuse of power. The judges are so independent that nothing depends on them. So yeah. And the trust of the citizens, I would be very skeptical. I would say no, because there no substantial reforms have been done into that area.
I know I was now checking on corruption reports from different institutions, including European Commission. And when it comes to Western Balkan, I saw recently that Macedonia was kind of I wouldn't use the word applauded because it's too strong, but actually it was noticed that there are some improvements in tackling corruption lately in the approach. So I think at least something is going on that is positive. But what do you think then we can expect? How to solve this organized corruption in Macedonia? What do you think the first steps are in this direction?
Well, currently we have the new Office for Fight of Suppression of Corruption and Organized Crimes. It was created by the government after this year's election. It's a new office. We shall see how it will be done. However, I believe that lack of prosecutorial training for prosecutors on how to detect and how to initiate charges against corruption, as well as judges on how to render harsher sentences and to differentiate the levels of corruption. If there's a public official and he abused his power, which was delegated to him by the people, and then he must receive harsher sentence. However, still the executive branch of government is very, very influential in North Macedonia because it holds everything in its power. Not the parliamentary, who should supervise the government, nor the judiciary, who should be checks to the executive power. Unfortunately, many judicial leaders are still cooperating with the government, hoping to achieve a personal benefit of promotion into higher courts or something like that. However, the lack of idealism on real values, justice values, and are still absent in the today leaders in the judiciary. I don't know how it will be. Maybe with the new generations, that trend will change, the new generations of judges and prosecutors. However, these which were brought down in Yugoslav system, and these some which were after the collapse of Yugoslavia, there's a little hope that everything will change from that.